In May 2023, Nigeria stood at a defining moment in its history. A nation abundant in natural resources and human capital, yet mired in economic difficulties, rising inflation, stagnant growth, unsustainable debt, and dwindling investor confidence. The streets bore the burden of hardship, fuel queues stretched for miles, markets buzzed with frustrated traders, millions struggled daily to afford basic commodities. Then came a change, one that would stir the status quo. A new president with a history of reform, a vision for transformation, and the political courage to act. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Nigeria's 16th president, stepped into office with a clear goal: rebuild the economy from the ground up. This is the story of how bold policies, hard choices, and determined leadership began reshaping the future of Africa's largest economy. To understand the urgency and depth of the reforms, we must look back at where Nigeria stood in mid-2023. The economy was heavily dependent on oil, a volatile commodity. The naira had lost significant value. Over 130 million Nigerians were living in multidimensional poverty. Public debt had soared to 77 trillion naira, and inflation was squeezing households beyond breaking point.
Reforming Nigeria, the economic transformation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration.
The fundamentals were weak. Revenues were drying up. We were spending more on debt servicing than on infrastructure. President Tinubu inherited an economy on the edge, but instead of retreating, he advanced with perhaps the boldest set of economic reforms in 2 decades. With 4 words, Tinubu dismantled one of Nigeria's most entrenched and expensive economic policies, the fuel subsidy, long criticized as a drain on the treasury. As he said, it was no more.
On fuel subsidy, unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. So fuel subsidy is gone.
For decades, the fuel subsidy has cost trillions, benefiting smugglers and reaching just a few Nigerians and distorting the market value. The removal was painful but necessary. It showed political will. Subsidies weren't helping the poor. They were only helping the corrupt few.
The subsidy cost us trillions of naira yearly, such as a vast sum of money would have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security. Instead, it was being funneled into the deep pocket and lavish bank account of a selected group of individuals. This group had amassed so much wealth and power that they became a serious threat to the fairness of our economy and the integrity of our democratic governance. To be blunt, Nigeria could never become the society it was intended to be as long as such small, powerful, yet unelected groups hold enormous influence over our political economy and the institutions that govern it. The whims of the few should never hold dominant sway over the hopes and aspirations of the many.
The immediate aftermath was tough. Fuel prices tripled. Transportation and food costs skyrocketed. But the government quickly introduced a 500 billion naira palliative support plan, including 8,000 naira monthly cash transfers to vulnerable households, fertilizer and food distribution, and plans for a national mass transit scheme.
Our economy is going through a tough patch, and you are being hurt by it, I know. The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses are struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. As I came here to help, not to hurt the people and the nation that I love so dearly. What I can offer in the immediate is to reduce the burden of current economic situation, which has imposed on all of us, most especially on businesses, the working class, and most vulnerable among us. Already, the federal government is working closely with states and local governments to implement interventions that will cushion the pains of our people across socio-economic brackets.
The goal to redirect funds towards the sectors that directly impact lives, health, education, roads, and jobs under the renewed hope agenda was strong, firm, and solid. Soon after subsidy reform came another landmark move: foreign exchange unification.
We announced the end of a crippling fuel subsidy regime and the unification of foreign exchange rates, combined with the effect of an unsustainable fiscal deficit and hidden subsidies. These factors distorted the money supply and created an unfair playing field for an elite crop of unpatriotic forces. But that is no more. It's gone.
For years, Nigeria operated a complex and opaque multiple exchange rate system. The result? Distorted markets, arbitrage opportunities, and investor uncertainties. The central bank adopted a market-determined rate, allowing supply and demand to guide forex pricing. The naira depreciated initially, sparking criticism, but the move boosted investor confidence.
Under the able leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and with your support, our economy has turned in the right direction, and we are committed to stay the course. The strategy that has been embarked upon has helped our subnationals, today the states and local governments, have more improved tax allocations, and with the elimination of both foreign exchange and fuel subsidies, they will be continuing to receive higher allocations. The Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning and its agencies is leading many engagements together with the economic management team, together with a long-term funding committee, to ensure that we generate more resources that will finance development in all the constituencies that you represent.
Today, the exchange rate is beginning to stabilize, a direct result of the hard decisions made under the economic pillar of the renewed hope agenda. No economic reform can succeed without a disciplined financial system.
You know, when you are approaching economic development, you have to be bold and you have to be courageous. We have, you know, a minister and a president who have these qualities. The president is very courageous in terms of taking bold policy. And that is one of the advantages Nigeria has at the moment. Because if you don't have bold initiative to implement bold policy, you cannot achieve economic development. You cannot even achieve growth, which trickles into overall economic development. First and foremost, courage, boldness is important in moving economy forward.
President Tinubu overhauled Nigeria's monetary and fiscal leadership.
The framework has been put in place to ensure that these obligations are met in due course. My government is not blind to the challenges several of you are facing in the financial markets. I can only allay these concerns by revealing that we have a good line of sight for the additional foreign exchange liquidity that is required to restore market confidence. And we are going to do that. A $1 trillion economy is possible by year 2026. And a $3 trillion economy is also possible within this decade. We can do it with double-digit, inclusive, and sustainable competitive growth. This is our agenda. I would like to charge you, the captains of industry here present, to commit yourself and redouble your effort to our vision of a renewed hope. More prosperous Nigeria, a better Nigeria for all.
Yes, in another 2 years, what we expect is to see that we are growing in 2-digit growth in order for us to meet this expectation of the $1 trillion economy, which has already been given as a marching order by Mr. President. So there are a lot of investment opportunities that we expect to come. That's why there are a number of policies in terms of the hydrogen policies. There's the biofuel policies that are being put in place. These are all policies that are going to, in fact, for us to diversify the economy, because we don't need to stay under the concept of that monolithic, depending solely on the oil. So we want to really see how the economy, we call it concentric diversification of the economy, so that those opportunities will come, will depend less on oil. You understand? More especially, that's why we are talking of the biofuel, the hydrogen policies, in fact, and there are a number of initiatives. More especially, we have a program which we call the NGKS, Nigerian Community Actions for Resilience and Economic Stimulus Program, which has helped really to bring a lot of people out of poverty. So the essence is for us to see how people can live from poverty to prosperity. That is the target. And I'm sure with the way the policies of government are going, we can envisage that this trajectory in terms of growth is going to be met as soon as possible.
A new central bank governor was appointed with a mandate to fight inflation, stabilize the naira, and rebuild trust.
The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the request of Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of nominees for appointment as governor and deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The nominees answered questions from distinguished senators on CBN matters and other matters, and a number of topical issues. Thereafter, the committee approved the nominations of Olayemi Cardoso for the position of Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Now, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Olai Cardoso for appointment as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
I think it's important to say that investors, and let's face it, without investments, economies don't grow. Investors don't go to where there's instability. So I think that is the first thing to understand. On the journey, and this is a journey, investors don't go out to invest to lose money. They go out to invest because there's stability in an economy and they can plan. With that stability comes confidence. With confidence comes investment. And with investment comes growth and output. I think that's definitely the trajectory that you will find in all countries of the world. We obviously have been through a long period of instability. And I think that clearly what is being recognized is that the Nigerian economy is now stable and there's interest in those who want to invest to now invest.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service was tasked with boosting non-oil revenues. The Presidential Committee on Tax Reforms was inaugurated to expand the tax net, simplify procedures, and tackle evasion. This is the renewed hope in action. An economy built on productivity, not rent-seeking. To create jobs and grow the GDP, President Tinubu focused on investment and industrial growth.
The long-term prospect of the nation and the benefit is for us to re-engineer the finances and the economy of our great country. That, I assure you, I will do.
Mega projects like the Dangote refinery, promise energy independence export processing zones were revamped. Solid minerals were positioned as the new oil agriculture value chain saw renewed energy with the introduction of boosts into the livestock sector of agriculture. The Nigerian Startup Act was activated to support innovation. Techpreneurs were given funding access, mentorship, and regulatory support. This is the industrial face of the renewed hope agenda: inclusive, sustainable, and empowering. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu understood that economic growth must be people-centered. The National Social Investment Program was revitalized, targeting millions through conditional cash transfers, school feeding, and youth empowerment. Young entrepreneurs gained access to a 75 billion naira loan facility. The Student Loan Act was passed to support education for all, without financial barriers.
Our administration assumed its commitment to the youth by setting up the student loan scheme. To date, 45.6 billion has already been processed for payment to students and their respective institutions.
Policies we are putting in place, from training of our youth, from investing in our women, from investing in agriculture, we believe we are on the way of creating a skill-based set that will help us to support our younger ones to achieve their dreams and cooperate and tell the world that we are not a nuisance to the world. We are an opportunity. We are the blessed ones. Our hardworking young men and women are able to contribute to global prosperity.
And in 2024, a new chapter began with the Consumer Credit Scheme giving everyday Nigerians access to home appliances, vehicles, and essentials through structured payment plans. The Renewed Hope Agenda is not just a policy, it is a promise of economic dignity. Infrastructure is undoubtedly the backbone of development, and the Tinubu administration is committed to completing legacy projects and initiating new ones that will unlock economic potentials. From roads to rail, airports to housing, the goal is connectivity, access, and productivity.
We have also embarked on major infrastructure projects. We are working to complete inherited projects critical to our economic prosperity, including roads, bridges, railways, power, and oil and gas development. Notably, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and Sokoto-Badagry Highway projects will open up 16 connecting states, creating thousands of jobs and boosting economic output.
In the energy sector, reforms aim to improve generation and distribution while encouraging solar and off-grid solutions for underserved communities. Not all have embraced the reforms. From labor unions to civil society, criticisms have emerged. President Tinubu has acknowledged the hardship, but he insists that the pain is temporary and the reforms are for long-term gain. Not for a few Nigerians, but for all Nigerians. His administration has adjusted policies, expanded palliatives, and promised transparency and dialogue. The Renewed Hope Agenda remains the anchor. It's a promise of economic emancipation. As President Bola Ahmed Tinubu completes the second year in office, the effects of economic reforms are becoming visible and measurable. The naira is gradually stabilizing against major currencies. Food inflation is slowing, and millions are switching to CNG, a cleaner, cheaper alternative to PMS. States are receiving higher federal allocations, doubling their development footprints. And with the Consumer Credit Scheme, Nigerians are now dreaming again with dignity.
The task before us is a collective one, and I am leading the charge as your president. A lot of work has gone into stabilizing our economy. My administration is working very hard to improve and expand our national infrastructure and create more opportunities for our young people. Let nobody misinform and miseducate you about your country or tell you that your government does not care about you. We are in a new era of renewed hope. We are working hard, and the result will soon be visible and concrete for everyone to see, feel, and enjoy. Let us work together to build a brighter future for ourselves and for generations to come. Let's choose hope over fear, unity over division, and progress over stagnation. Now that we have been enjoying democratic governance for 25 years, do not let the extremists of enemies of democracy use you to promote an unconstitutional agenda that will set us back on our democratic journey. Forward ever, backward never.
The journey is far from over, but the direction is clear. With each policy, each project, each act of courage, the promise of a better Nigeria draws closer.
Managing national economy is just like you are traveling along the road. You meet a very big junction where there's no traffic light, no traffic warning. Everybody is struggling to pass. That's where all the presidents are with their own country. Those who have thick skin, who can drive very well, who have courage, wisdom to pass that, to navigate that junction, they will pass. When you pass, it means that you have conquered poverty. You have overcome underdevelopment. Now, we have a president that has courage to pass. We have a president that has wisdom and consensus building. Because economic development also needs consensus building. As you want to go, there are some people who disagree with you. But you need to bring all of them on board.
This is not just reform. This is renewal. This is resilience. This is the renewed hope agenda in motion.
To fund our Agenda 2050 and the renewed hope agenda, we need confidence and integrity and soundness in our financial system so that the distortionary elements that are tiny, that cannot support our dream, are kept at bay and even ring-fenced and punished, while at the same time providing a mechanism where we can go to financial markets, or rather our private sector can also go to financial markets and raise money because of the confidence we put into our financial system. And I believe it can be done. I believe our credit rating should improve better.
This is the Tinubu economic transformation. And for over 200 million citizens, it is only just the beginning. Reform in Nigeria, renewed hope is indeed for every Nigerian.